Today, our very first guest is our very own president, President Keith Brown. President Brown, thank you for joining us.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be the first to have a podcast. So
Good
excited
morning.
about this opportunity.
Yes, we are too. As a Jefferson State alumnus and now president of the college, you have a unique perspective. Could you tell us a little bit about what the college has meant to students, families, and the communities over the years?
Absolutely. So 60 years is quite a milestone, and it feels different. So the 50th anniversary was celebratory. The 60th feels a little more reflective about where we are, where we've come from. And when you think about the college, 60 years is nothing to overlook. But going back to 1965 when we had our first class, the success of this college really depended on the quality of the faculty. And I've said this many times, that they said, even though this was kind of a new thing for the Birmingham area anyway, that they were not going to let this be something that was not quality, that they wanted to provide students with an opportunity, at the time, mostly to transfer on to elsewhere. So, the foundation is so important for the college, and it rests on the faculty at that time, because it could have gone in a different direction if you think about it.
Right.
With 60 years of history, we estimate that we've served 1 million people in the Birmingham metro area. Wow. And you think about the individuals, when you break that down to the individuals and the lives that have been impacted and the generations now that have been impacted, and had the college not been there at the beginning to provide that opportunity for those students, what would have happened? And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a group, and I just posed the question, imagine the Birmingham metro area without Jefferson State, and think about the impact that we've had. And while, we're surrounded by quality four-year schools, but not everybody is equipped yet to go to a four-year school for a variety of reasons. So it's always interesting to think about, and I don't mean Jefferson State, but if a community college had not been here in Birmingham, what would those students have done? Mm-hmm. And I'm among them, so I can speak to that firsthand. So you think about the nurses that have been trained. You think about the physicians that have been trained, the attorneys, the leaders in our area. I was speaking to a group a couple of weeks ago, and I posed the question to the room. And there were probably 60, 80 people in the room, and I said, would you raise your hand if you or your family have taken classes at Jefferson State? And almost every hand in the room went up.
Wow.
And I love seeing that, and I love being out in the community. And I mentioned that I work at Jeff State, and they say, I went to Jeff State. My child went to Jeff State. My mother went to Jeff State. My mother taught at Jeff State. So it's really remarkable when you think about the impact that Jefferson State has had in the Birmingham area.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know when I go to like the hospital or something, I often ask the nurses, where did you get your degree? And they, 9 times out of 10, it's Jefferson State. So
absolutely, I do that too.
Yeah.
I do that too. And in fact, a few years ago, I was talking to a PCT, and she said, I'm going through some training, but I want to get into Jeff State's nursing program. And much like if you ever heard the stories about Judy stopping in the grocery store telling somebody you need to talk to somebody about getting into school. And so, but I love being in the community and just talking, having those conversations. And I know that if you will give us an opportunity to change your life, we're going to do that for you. And thinking about, again, at the individual level, multiplied by 1 million, how many that has impacted.
All right, that's incredible. So you touched on this a little bit. You're an alumnus at Jefferson State. So how did Jefferson State prepare you for your career?
Absolutely. So, I was a pretty good student in high school, but when I moved to the Birmingham area, I moved in the middle of my junior year. And I guess I just decided academically I was going to just throw it into low gear. And I got by. I was doing well, but the thing is, too, I'm a first-gen college student, so I was raised mostly by a single mother who had a 10th grade education and a GED. And I say that because I didn't have the home-based support to say, this is how you go to college. And my senior year, I kind of turned it around a little bit and started doing better academically, which is what I should have been doing all along. I think every young kid sometimes goes through that. But it was in the spring of my senior year, I was not thinking about where I'm going to school. I was probably thinking where I'm going on my senior trip after I graduate high school. And, you have scholarship deadlines that occur in March. I didn't know that. I didn't think about that. So when it came time for me to think about attending college, I knew I wanted to go to college. There wasn't any doubt about that. I just didn't know how to get there. And so I joined the military to take advantage of the educational benefits and came to Jeff State about a year after high school, and immediately found it to be a place where I could talk to the instructor and ask questions. We had small class sizes, and I was taking, English, math, and psychology, those kind of things. The other thing, though, and so academically I was well prepared because of that smaller environment where you could engage, and they knew who you were,
right.
and they knew if you weren't in class, and they, all those things. The other thing, though, that really helped me at Jefferson State is it was so easy to get involved. And because I did well my first quarter, we were on quarters then, I did well my first quarter, and I got into Phi Theta Kappa, or got the opportunity to get into Phi Theta Kappa. It's a little bit different to get into that organization now, or then versus now. But I just started showing up to the meetings, and they said, Keith, you come to the meetings, let's give you an opportunity to be an officer. And that officer position led to they wanted me to be the liaison to the Student Government Association. So that got me involved in the Student Government Association. And then a lot of times it's just if you show up
right.
and do what you say you're going to do, opportunities emerge. But I found the environment at Jeff State was one that I could become involved. And I'm not a joiner by nature. I'm a little introverted, and so I just don't go out and look for those opportunities. But I did make myself available, and I just showed up for the meetings. And after a period of time, I ended up working at Jefferson State as a part-time math tutor over in our student support services area. So I was spending a lot of time on campus. I got to know a lot of good people here, and people who took me under their wing and said, there's something about you that I think you're going to be successful. I knew I wanted to go to law school after I finished my undergrad. But just making the way. I mean, Dr. Joe Marshall, who was chairing the English division at the time and was the Phi Theta Kappa advisor, one of the advisors, when she learned that I wanted to go to the University of Alabama, called and made arrangements for me to visit the University of Alabama, went over to the law school, talked to the dean of the law school, and mapped out what I needed to do to be ready to go to law school. And it was because of that relationship, and by the way, I got a transfer full scholarship to University of Alabama, in part because of her effort, because of what I'd done academically, and because my involvement. So it helped me in so many ways. But even post law school, when we're going around, we're interviewing, trying to get on with firms, and I showed my resume, and the Jefferson State portion of my resume describes all of the activities and involvement that I had. So I was working part-time all the way through, and still in the Guard all the way through college too. So I had some other things. I wasn't just a student who went to class, did well, went home. And so they could see that I was more well-rounded because of those opportunities. But had I gone straight to a four-year school, I wouldn't have had those opportunities.
Right.
Again, I probably wouldn't have asserted myself into those opportunities by nature. So Jefferson State really just laid that foundation for me in so many ways to help me be successful.
Right, and help prepare you for
Absolutely.
university. That's great. In Jefferson State's 60-year history, the college has only had 4 college presidents. What did it mean to you to become the 4th college president?
I really feel it's an honor. It truly, truly is an honor. When I left Jeff State and I went on to University of Alabama, went to law school, and I thought, well, I'm going to go be a lawyer, and I may come back and visit Jeff State, but I had no idea that I would even come back to work at Jefferson State. And so when I came back here in '99, through a happenstance, they happened to have 2 positions that they combined to essentially hire an in-house attorney. And I called Judy Merritt, who remembered me as a student, and I said, hey, I see this position that's posted. What do you think? And she said, go ahead and apply for it. And so I did. And I had just gotten married. No. My now wife had just started working here in '98. So she was already on board as an employee. And I knew it was a good place to work. But I was thinking more about, well, this is a good opportunity for me to go be a lawyer for this organization. Mm-hmm. And I was fortunate enough to work for Judy for 15 years, and I got to see so much of the impact that Jefferson State had, and I came to love it. And so I benefited from a student, but I didn't fully appreciate the full scope of what we did in the community until I came back as an employee. But I didn't come back to think, oh, I'm going to be president one day. In fact, I would have been very happy in my career finishing out as a dean at the time. So it truly is an honor. But when Judy was nearing the end of her career, she started taking me around to some of the board meetings, and she was helping me develop the relationships that I would need as a president, even though I didn't see it at the time. Again, she never talked to me about, I'm grooming you, one day you're going to be president. It happened. And I remember when I took over, I was interim for a little while and thinking, wow, well, I can be an interim president for a little while, then they'll name another president, and then I'll move back into my dean role. And so now, over 11 years later, it's great to see what we've been able to build on with the tremendous foundation that those who came before us laid, that we've been able to build on that and continue to make an impact. So it truly, truly is an honor for me. I'm delighted. I wake up every day excited to go to work because I know that we're going to make an impact in our community.
That's great. There are several new initiatives happening at Jefferson State. What are some that you are most excited about?
I will say this, we have had several initiatives over the last several years, and I am continually amazed by our team here because the ideas come, not just from me, but come from outside or wherever. But when we say we need to do this to respond to the needs in our community, the team here rallies and they just do it. And so we don't tire, even though it is tiring sometimes. We're not one to be complacent and say, look, Keith, we've already done so much over the last 10 or 11 years. Let's just stop and coast for a little while. There's always more to do. So we just are expanding. Most recently, we purchased property to expand our commercial driver's license training program into Jefferson County in response to the needs up here. Next year, we'll launch diagnostic medical sonography in response to the needs from the medical community. So those are just two things, and those are most recent. We're bringing back LPN because the hospitals are now resuming hiring LP, licensed practical nursing. So a lot of good things that are happening here. And we just now completed our Workforce Education Center where we'll launch electrical HVAC and multi-craft training that should start will start later this month. So being able to see those things come to fruition is really, it's exciting to be a part of it. And I don't pretend that it's a Keith thing because it's a Jeff State team thing. Right. But I know too, we'll complete these things and then there will be something else that we need to do because the needs of our community continue to evolve. But we have a great team here, and again, because of that effort, we're able to complete some of these initiatives. And so many exciting things happen. It's a great time to be here at Jeff State.
Yes, it is. Speaking of workforce, Jefferson State short certificate fast track programs have grown tremendously. Could you share a little bit about how these programs meet the needs for both students and businesses and industry?
Absolutely. So you got to think about this too. If we're looking at the opportunities that we provide from getting a GED all the way through you want to transfer and get a PhD, well, not everybody that comes to us, you can't go to them and say, I'll tell you what, Keith, or whomever, give us 2 years, maybe 3 years, and we'll put you on track to get a new job, a new career. They don't have that kind of time. Mm-hmm. Many of our students are coming to us saying, look, I need something better, but I need something shorter term. Maybe I can build on it later, but I need something shorter term to improve my circumstances right now. So that's what I love about the workforce education area is anywhere from 6 weeks to 20 weeks, we can transform your life. And so we want to make sure that the opportunities that we provide are meaningful, that there's really truly a job at the end of it when you get the certification or training. But we're also responding to the needs of the workforce area. So we're in continual conversation with local business and industry about what your needs are, how they evolve, and then we're helping those students who may not have had an opportunity otherwise. If you think about, again, not everybody's going to, as the governor said, get them from the couch to the workforce. Not everybody's going to go from the couch to the workforce in a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year time frame. So it's important that we continue to offer those.
Right.
It's important for us to recognize, too, that by offering those opportunities, we're not diminishing in any way what we do with the credit-based programming and the transfer-based programming. We're still going to educate the math student who wants to be an engineer, the science student who wants to be a physician. They're still going to come through here, and I view the workforce opportunities as we've expanded the spectrum of students that we can serve because of those efforts.
Right, yes. So you talked a little bit about credit classes. So Jeff State, a lot of times, we help prepare students for the universities. And how do you think Jeff State does preparing students for four-year colleges?
So you can see the data that's there. We get reports back from the University of Alabama system colleges and Auburn University about how our transfer students do. And they do as well or better than the native students who are there.
Wow.
I saw firsthand how it prepared me coming from not a great high school. It was an okay high school, but it prepared me to go on to the University of Alabama, and I did well there. So we really are providing that foundation. And while, look, I get I'm not lost in the community. I know that sometimes people look, well, you're just going to community college. The reality is, though, that our faculty have the same credentials as the faculty who are teaching at the four-year schools. And when you think about taking these intro, English 101, if you go to a four-year school, you're in a class of 200 and it's probably taught by a GTA, overseen by a professor. Here, you're getting at least a master's degree, many times PhD instructor who is teaching a class of 20 students. Mm-hmm. And tell me that there's something's missing in the quality of that. It just doesn't, the math doesn't work on that. So
right.
I think sometimes that's lost. Because we are a tremendous value. We're a little less expensive than the four-year school, certainly a lot less expensive. And because of that, people will equate how much you pay or what the environment looks like to the quality of education that you can get. But look, we've recruited from the 4 years to come and be instructors here at Jeff State. So the quality is going to be there. You're going to be well prepared when you get ready to transfer. And by and large, our students are going to be transfer students. Mm-hmm. So, but you're going to be well prepared if you come to Jeff State and spend some time, even spend a year here and then get ready to transfer. You'll find out that the transition, particularly from high school to college, is much easier when you come to Jeff State in between.
A large percentage of Jefferson State students choose to go with career and technical programs. Why do you think they choose this track?
Most of our students who are pursuing career tech, they're going to be in the medical industry. It's a medical town. When you look at how successful those programs are, nursing certainly has been phenomenal over the years. They know that they're going to be employed at the end of it, and they know that they can come through in a shorter time frame to get that initial certificate. If you're talking about nursing, getting that RN and getting that licensure to go ahead and go to work, even if they continue on with their BSN and on from there. I think there's an evolution if you look at it, and you can read so many things about this that historically, my generation would have been go to college, major in anything, just get that 4-year degree, and that's what is required for you to go to work. So get a bachelor's degree in history if that's what you want. Just check that box and move on. The employers aren't responding to that anymore, and so they want the skill sets and they want the certifications. So the idea that you can graduate from a four-year school now with a bachelor's degree in history or psychology and immediately go to work is just not achievable in today's environment. I think there's a continued evolution. It's slow, but there's a continued evolution of students who are recognizing, wait a minute, why am I going to spend 4 years pursuing something that may or may not lead to work? And when I say that, I mean a career. So there's a growing, and the second thing is there's a growing recognition of the value that we present, because you can pay a third of the tuition to come to Jeff State, get an industry recognized credential, get a license in a profession that will lead to something to make you employable. The other thing too, even though our average age has been, if you do it, the math now, because we have so many dual enrollment students, it brings the number down. But aside from that, our average age is about 24. So those students, life has happened in some ways to them. And so they may have children there, and they're trying to juggle and do the family and all the commitments that they have, and the idea that, okay, I'm going to go to an in-residence four-year school, and I can't do that because I have my family. So, and I can't spend that kind of time waiting for something that may or may not happen for me. So you look at the quality of the program that we have with our career tech side, and I mentioned medical because that's probably 60 or more % of our career tech students are in the medical field. But the same would hold true with welding. I mean, they know we can't keep the welding students in the program long enough to graduate because they're getting hired once they get those skill sets, they're getting hired by local industry. Wow. So our job is to make sure that we are responding to the workforce needs based on those programs. We're providing quality, and we're helping those students. We want to make sure that we're going to help those students be successful too. So when they enter those programs, we want to make sure that they complete those programs and can go to work. And along the way, I mean, they're still getting some of the general education that they need for critical thinking and other skills that they'll need on just being an adult.
Right.
But they are getting that professional licensure or those skill sets that will lead to employment. But I really think it's an evolution, a slow evolution, a recognition of you don't necessarily have to have the four-year degree to get a job like you did 20 years ago.
Absolutely. Like the demand is there, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the students are being hired. So you touched a little bit about dual enrollment, sorry. I know that my son is in dual enrollment. I believe your children did
Absolutely.
dual enrollment as well. How does dual enrollment help students and families like yours and mine?
So my older son, who's now an engineer, came through Jeff State doing dual enrollment, and he was able to get his English, his Lits, some of his math in dual enrollment. So he had his first year essentially under his belt when he went to UAB. So it helped in that way in terms of academic acceleration. That's one aspect of it, and that's a lot of our students who are looking for that. But when he got to UAB, instead of taking English 101 in an auditorium with 200 students, he was able to bypass that and focus on the other courses that he needed to take. The other thing that dual enrollment, so it's academic acceleration certainly is a part of it. The value that it's less expensive to take a dual enrollment class than it is pay tuition at a four-year school in particular. But what it helps, I think, is the intangible aspect of getting ready to go to college. When you're a sophomore, junior, senior, you already get to learn what it means to have a college instructor who is teaching your course. And I've told my children, they're going to give you the syllabus, and then you're responsible for that.
Right.
They're not going to be like a high school teacher who reminds you 15 times that something is due. So taking that responsibility earlier on in a lower threat environment, where by the time they do graduate high school and perhaps go to college, that they already know what it's like to navigate that.
Right.
And then, two, knowing that they can be successful in a college course. So I see it. I've talked to students because I have children who are just graduated high school or about to graduate high school, and some who think I can't be successful in college. Taking that dual enrollment course will help them get that, to know that they can be successful as they go on to college.
Right. I think it helps too with the mindset of knowing what am I going to do. You know, start thinking about that a little bit earlier.
Absolutely.
It's very helpful. Through the years, the needs for students have changed tremendously. What are some of the ways that Jefferson State supports their students?
So one of the things, you asked about initiatives earlier, and 2 years ago I would have said one of my favorite initiatives is our Student Success Center. And with the support of the Regents Foundation, we were able to create this center where we provide the wraparound services. I think every higher education institution should provide academic tutoring, and we do that. But this provides the wraparound support services whether it's an emergency grant because you've gotten behind on a car payment or a rent payment or utility bill, mental health counseling that you may need, that so many students would need as they traverse through their educational career, and then food pantry. You know, you're not going to learn if you're hungry and you don't know where that next meal is going to come from. And many of our students, like it or not, I mean, that's the environment that they're in. So when we were able to provide that wraparound support for those students, and we can see too, the students who come through and get those services are more likely to stay in college beyond that first term. So that is a remarkable thing that we are able to do. We're unique in a lot of ways by providing that, but it's not just that. We rebranded our what we now call adult college services, and it was a very small, focused, grant-funded effort where we just helped this group of students come to college and maybe give them books and that kind of thing. So we were able to expand that. So it's an adult, meaning over 25 or older. And as I mentioned, our average age is about 24, 25 anyway. So that's a lot of our students who are coming to us. But now we have a support mechanism there where we even have separate orientations. So if you're a 28-year-old and you've experienced life and you think, I really need to go to Jeff State to get something to improve the quality of my life, but I don't want to go around a bunch of 18-year-olds, and maybe I'm a little embarrassed because of what's happened in my life. And so, you know, having a place where you can go where other adults are there and people who are talking to you understand what it's like for you as an adult to navigate coming on and attending college, that is something I'm very proud of as well. So
Absolutely.
wherever you are, we want to support you as a student. And I'm not going to overlook too career coaches because those are important too. And yeah, it's one thing if you know that you're in academic trouble and you go seek out tutoring, and that's something. But what happens when something happens and you miss an assignment? Something happens, you miss 2 assignments, and you start to get discouraged and think, I'm not going to be successful in this class, so I'm just going to stop. Right. But if you have a career coach there who can say, Keith, just keep going. Let's find out. Talk to your instructor. Explain what happened. Maybe they'll give you an ability to make up some of that assignment and just encourage you on, just the words of encouragement and to help guide you. Many of our students just need that extra little support. Right. And so those things holistically, I like to think now that we serve the whole student, not just the academic portion, but the whole student. Whatever you need, we want to help you be successful here.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. So truly hands-on support.
Absolutely.
Last year, JSCC had its highest enrollment since 2011. How does enrollment look this year?
Our enrollment this semester has been unbelievable. Today, we're at over 10,400 students.
Wow.
So putting that in perspective, 60-year history, our all-time high is from 2010. It was at 9,700 students. And at the time, you could look at it, and the health of the economy was inversely proportional to our enrollment. So economy goes south, people come to community college, and you could track that over time up until COVID. And then COVID hit, and the economy's not great, but people aren't coming to college, and so what's happening? We had dipped down, in fall of 2020, we had dipped down to about 8,500 students. So if you think about over the last 5 years, we've gone from 8,500 to over 10,400 students, and eclipsed our all-time enrollment record is really remarkable. And you can't do it. You know, what do you attribute that to? I mean, so I get that question from time to time. What do you think? It's still enrollment. It's the success of our career tech programs. But the thing is, it's marketing efforts that we made. But we couldn't get there if faculty weren't willing to go the extra mile by taking on an overload because we had to open a new section of English, a double overload in many instances because we had to open 2 sections of something. And now instead of teaching 5 classes, that faculty member is teaching 7 classes. It takes the support of financial aid to make the processing happen, the admissions folks to make the processing happen. So it really is a team effort to have that high number of students coming through. And so I took over as president in 2014. I used to think, well, maybe there's something we can do to recruit and we'll have 10,000 one day. And really when COVID hit, I kind of divorced myself from that notion. And I thought, okay, that was just an anomaly that happened with the economic downturn of 2010. We're never going to get close to that. And again, over the last 5 years, we've just been creeping up. But to jump from about 9,250 last fall to over 10,400 this fall is remarkable. And it's because of the entire effort of Jefferson State and the team here that has made that happen.
Well, it's a great time to be at Jeff State.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you for being with us today. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all that you do for the college. And we appreciate you for being here on our very first podcast. So thank you for that, and have a blessed day.